To start the meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Welcome, Addison Township Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We should have let her. We should have let her lead that. But we didn't know.
Let's see where we're going to go here. We're going to look at the agenda.
No, let's have roll call.
Let's do a roll call first.
Robert DeWitt.
Here.
Tony Spina.
Here.
Eric Sen. Absent excused, Vice Chair Smith.
Here.
Chair Hayward.
Here.
Philip Marshall.
Here.
Okay, now next. The approval of the agenda. Have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up is the minutes for the March 8th minutes approval. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes? Corrections? And therefore, I'd like to approve the minutes as is for the March 8th, 2018 minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On the agenda, Mr. Davis, are you going to come in at this point or afterwards?
Yeah, if you call the case, I'll give an introduction so the public is aware of the procedure.
Okay. The case before us tonight is case 1702. The applicant's Verizon Wireless. Property owner is Addison Township. Property address is 5020 Hosner Road. Parcel 0505300011 zoning. Public institutional P1. The variance request was the subject of a public hearing on June 8, 2017. And the ZBA decision to grant the variance was issued on July 31st, 2017. The sole issue for the public hearing held on March 8, 2018 was for the ZBA to receive public input and comments with regard to the lot size variance of 14.76 acres solely in relationship to the fall zone at the property as set forth in the ZBA decision dated July 17, 2017. At the April 12, 2018 meeting, the ZBA deliberation will be based on the evidence presented at the March 8, 2018 hearing. The ZBA may affirm, modify, or revoke the variance granted by the ZBA in the decision dated July 31st, 2017. The ZBA held a public hearing on March 8, 2018. The public hearing was opened at 6:28 p.m. and closed at 8:07 p.m.
Board members, as you know, the decision of a ZBA is based on the record, and the record is based on the public hearing and the submittal of information to you at the public hearing and prior to the public hearing. The public hearing was closed on March 8, 2018. At this juncture, this case was recommended, you voted to approve the variance and the matter went to the court. And under the court's jurisdiction, they have the authority to affirm, reject, or to send the matter back to the ZBA for further findings. In the instance of this case, the court felt that the issue of the fall zone required additional hearing in which you conducted, and you received many things into the record, including engineering engineering studies and reports, and certainly very valuable public comments. That hearing was at your last meeting. The issue tonight is for you to affirm, modify, or deny the variance that you previously granted. I will give you one update on the court hearing. There was a motion by a party to intervene into the case. That was Zateri LLC, represented by the attorney who was here the last time, Attorney Maxwell. And an order of the court was entered that Zateri's motion to intervene was denied, and the court heard oral argument on that issue, and the motion for him to intervene was denied. So the sole issue for you on your agenda tonight is for your deliberations and for you to make your decision if that's your pleasure. There is no more public hearing, and the record is closed.
Okay, thank you. From what I understand, the applicant does not have anything else to add for tonight.
Jonathan Green, on behalf of Verizon Wireless, and we don't have anything to add. There's a specific question we'll answer.
Thank you, sir. Does the board have any comments or questions? If not, I'd like to ask for a motion.
Can I ask one question? Obviously, there's been no more correspondence since we've received all the stuff in the mail and the minutes from the last meeting and et cetera, nothing new.
That is correct. The record is set. I actually
Okay.
gave you a listing of the record.
Yes, you did, but I'm just asking to make sure.
Nothing.
Nothing new? All right.
Okay, in that case, I'm prepared to make a motion. And I'm going to read it so that it comes out sounding better. Verizon Wireless has repeatedly testified and stated on the record that over the last 20 years, there has never been a failure of a monopole tower of the proposed design anywhere in the United States where a tower fell and hit the ground, or ever failed in the designed way of buckling and folding over on itself. There has been no contrary evidence placed into the record concerning any failure of the proposed tower design that was presented in the variance request. The analysis of the proposed design presented puts forth a compelling argument against such a failure and therefore supports the adequacy of the proposed fall zone. This supports the conclusion that the fall zone is sufficient as proposed. Verizon Wireless submitted the structural analysis for the proposed tower to the township as a part of their proposal for the placement of this tower last summer. The Verizon design analysis has since been reanalyzed by professional engineers that are not employed by Verizon or the tower manufacturer, and these outside structural experts concur with the analysis and conclusions provided by Verizon that this monopole tower, if sufficiently overloaded, will fail by buckling and folding over on itself with no part of the tower hitting the ground, resulting in the entire tower remaining completely within the parcel that it's built on. There is no evidence in the record which opposes these reports and studies. This supports the conclusion that the fall zone is sufficient as proposed for this tower design. I find support to affirm the granting of the variance in the Rand-Bowman documents dated July 3rd of last year and March 7th of this year, the Sabre Industries report from February of this year, and the PEA Incorporated report dated March 3rd, 2018. In regard to the idea of a weather event of sufficient power causing this monopole tower to fail in a manner not anticipated by the design, I believe that any weather event with this much energy would not appear without forecast and notice. I've seen no evidence to the contrary. There was no testimony placed in the record by any citizen or school representative that asserted that any past weather issues would have caused potential impacts on the proposed design presented by Verizon. This supports a conclusion that the fall zone is sufficient as proposed. The proposed monopole tower is designed to withstand weather events having winds in excess of 89 miles an hour. This was presented and certified by multiple engineers. No evidence or reports to the contrary were presented. This supports the conclusion that the fall zone is sufficient as proposed. Based on the record, it is my belief that the proposed tower as designed does not present a fall risk, and the sufficiency of the fall zone being proposed is factually supported by the record. Should the tower ever fail in the manner anticipated by the structural design and analysis, the tower will fold over on itself and be totally contained within the parcel it's built on. This is confirmed by the expert reports presented. This supports the conclusion that the fall zone is sufficient as proposed. For these reasons, I make a motion that the previous motion to approve the monopole tower placement requested by Verizon Wireless be affirmed by this ZBA.
I'll second that motion.
This is standing government corruption and right the river to remember? Do I need all of those, right?
Sure.
I don't think you look at the full evidence correctly. I don't think.
We have a motion and a support by Mr. DeWitt.
And we'll bring it up.
I'd like to take a roll call vote.
Philip Marshall,
Yes.
Robert DeWitt,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes?
Tony Spina,
Yes.
Chair Hayward.
No.
I don't think they understand what just happened. They don't understand what just happened.
I don't think so.
As it stands, motion passes. I'd like to,
I'm saying good job.
can we have some order, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Apparently he didn't get the monopole failure. Eliminated was
Other business.
Other business, here we go. I have not received any other correspondence, if anything, in regards to all the matters. Zoning board reports, again, I have nothing to report.
The planning commission at this point is current. All of our cases have been heard and acted on. We did not have a meeting Tuesday as our regular meeting night, so as of right now, we're up to date and current.
Okay, thank you.
You were asking me, Nathan, in the car, the definition of corruption is dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribery.
Excuse me, please, really?
Oh, he was asking me questions about.
You can take it outside.
Yeah, and a bribe is when you
Public
persuade
forum.
to act in one's favor, typically dishonestly, by a gift of money or something else.
Hearing none,
Say public forum?
motion to adjourn.
No,
Is it
you're
public
gonna get
forum?
some
Yeah,
problem.
No, we need a public
Have
forum.
a public forum.
Or you gotta have public forum.
If you're not gonna have public forum.
I'm sorry, I'm a little thrown off with all the commotion going on in the audience here.
I understand, but we are very upset about what you're doing
He
here.
called for public forum.
Understood. So go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. Public forum's open at 6:12.
You can stand up and talk to everybody.
Now we can talk.
I'm a resident of Addison Township.
Please approach the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Lori Posey, and I'm a resident here in Addison Township, and I'm disappointed that you granted this variance when you don't. You're not holding yourself to the same standard as you hold your residents. And so that's what I'm upset about. It's not about anything else. Obviously, my child does go to Kingsbury, and I do care about that, but I care about you holding yourselves to the same standard as you hold your residents. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure you guys know me, Ron Renault, Addison Township.
it's a kind of abomination here that we have, that when a body of yours wants to do what you did, putting a tower on such a small parcel that is very low, swampy, won't have a good base for a tower, you'll have issues, you'll have ice falling off the tower that could fall on the children, you'll have many issues that could evolve here, and you are opening us up to that liability. You have this action that you could have taken today, your ordinance, to stop this, but you denied that. You denied the people justice. And I think you guys should look at yourselves and say, yeah, you're setting a precedent. And honestly, you think about it, you guys have held people to self-charge or something, I can't remember the term, aspect, it's self-inflicted or whatever it is. When you buy a parcel, you know that the parcel is not a parcel that can be used for what you thought. Self-created is what the word you guys use for a gentleman, because he had bought a parcel and you wanted to put a barn on it. It was only 3-4 feet higher than what the specifications required and a little bit larger, and you wouldn't allow it. But the last meeting, you let another person that had lots of money, obviously, put a 14,000 square foot barn on his property that would have only allowed 4,000 square feet. So obviously there's some favoritism there. So that's why I say, when you look at yourselves, you gotta look at yourself in the right respect, because this is not right. Plain and simple. Thank you.
Ivan Levinsky. I don't think you guys answered questions. I was hoping it's a simple. Speaking of, who wrote your speech?
I did.
Okay. So your job.
Or during public comment.
Oh.
You just listen.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
That's all I needed. Okay.
Let him speak.
So, that was your speech. You had that much vested to getting this voted. When your job is to be unbiased and just vote yes or no, looking at, okay, it's just an acre from 20 acres, or 10% from the setback. You had that much prepared, knowing that everyone here doesn't want it, knowing that the public is not going to like it. You had much prepared, when you're just an unbiased vote. If it was an unbiased vote, there should be no explanation. You believe it's okay, it's fine. You don't need to defend yourself. You have no reason to. If you're an unbiased vote, if you really believe all this is okay, it's just a little out of spec. But obviously you do believe it's way out of spec, way out of line. Otherwise you wouldn't come prepared with such a speech. Which, yeah, maybe you wrote it, maybe Verizon wrote it, maybe somebody else at Addison Township wrote it, but come on. Why would you come with that speech? I mean, like my little kid, he'll always have something prepared when he's done something wrong. Always. That's just how it works. It's very simple. When he does something wrong, he's always prepared with some kind of sidestep, some kind of like little story, some BS that he's saying. Like, if you really didn't just accidentally do something, he wouldn't have a story. You just say, oh, I accidentally did that. So it's obvious you came to this knowing or being told to vote yes. I know you said you're public servants, but come on, a public servant to just unbiasedly vote yes or no on a variance, coming up with a speech like that, and the last time you came with that BS about redefining rural areas, I mean, come on. I really don't think you guys are taking bribes, but I really just think this is just, it's better for Addison Township to get this money, and you guys agree with that. You get, getting money to the township, but it's like, come on. Yeah, that's just pretty much an admission of guilt, coming prepared with a speech like that.
Hi, my name is Diane Haig, and some of you might recognize me because a couple of years ago, I stood in front of this board many times trying to sell a piece of property that belonged to Kingsbury to our neighbor Joe Kent. And I had to come back and back and back again because the parcel that we wanted to sell didn't meet your zoning requirements. And eventually, we had to carve up the piece of property into a strange L shape that didn't make any sense for the seller, it didn't make any sense for the buyer, but met your zoning regulations. And I have respect for you. Those are your zoning regulations, and you believe that that's what you're here to enforce. And then to be here and observe the complete bending of your own organization or your own ordinance to meet the cell tower is just, is baffling to me and tremendously disappointing. Thank you.
My name is Adam Stewart. I'm a resident of Oxford, Michigan. And I was here at the last hearing, and I do happen to recall that one of the speakers got up, and I'm not sure if Mr. Davis, if you'll be able to answer this question or not, but I do remember one of the speakers getting up and presenting pictures and news stories about failed monopole construction. And I don't know if that was entered into the record.
It was.
It was, okay.
Why did he?
So, Mr. Spina's motion was factually inaccurate. When you say that there was no evidence of any monopole failure of that design, when in fact, information was presented to the record for your consideration, and it was vehemently ignored. And then, I don't know what kind of research any of you do on your own outside of these chambers, but a quick Google search will pick up hundreds of pictures and cases and accounts of failed monopole structure. Personal story, I used to work at the offices of Channel 7, WXYZ. We had a huge broadcast tower, and it's a different pole structure. But I do know that when we would come out in the wintertime, it was very dangerous. We had to be careful because of the guy wires and because of the structure of the tower itself. In the wintertime, we get ice in Michigan. And when it starts to warm up, we get a little bit of a breeze, that ice will melt, it loses its adhesion to the tower, and the wind would blow that off. So I just hope that we don't have a half a pound or a pound block of ice that comes falling down off of that tower, that while the child might be out in the playground, gets hit in the head and has some sort of problem. You know, that's a totally separate issue other than what we're facing with a possible failure. Again, you know, instances which were placed into the record. So I just wanted to, you know, express my disappointment with this board with not actually taking a look at all the true information that Mr. Davis had put together and shared with all of you. I'm not sure if any of you, you know, read all of the information that was put into the record. I know there was a lot that was there for you to consider. And I'm just, again, just really disappointed with your actions. I'm really disappointed with your decision. And what I would hope that as a result of this case, that perhaps the board would then go ahead and in the future amend your own restrictions and allow anybody within the township to that has a 5-acre parcel to be able to put a tower on their property, where it may not necessarily benefit the township, but may be able to benefit the private individual. Because clearly that is the precedent that you have set. And it becomes a slippery slope. When you start to make exceptions, there's got to be exceptions for a lot of different cases. I know you've denied variances for much larger parcels where the township was not standing to benefit, but yet here in a case where you stood to benefit directly, this is something that you decided to allow simply because it was going to offer money into your own township pocket. And I'm very disappointed.
Thank you, sir. Can we get your address too, please?
It's 386 Franklin Lake Circle in Oxford, Michigan.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I was wondering, as of the last meeting, no one had bothered to drive out to the property. Has anyone even driven out this last month while you were trying to think about this plan?
I was out there this evening.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you observed the beautiful environment, and I'm glad you thought about your vote. Nobody else, everyone that thought it was a good idea to put it here, you noticed where the 197-foot tower, and you noticed the proximity, didn't bother to see, didn't bother to look with your own eyes, didn't bother to walk into the swamplands to see where it's going to be, and you feel like you made an educated vote? You feel like it's not a corrupt vote? You really feel you put your best effort in? Got a lot of money riding on this, but you also have a lot of concerned citizens, and you also have children. And it's your job to try and protect and serve. This is the purpose of your position, right? A small town government. Trying to teach my kid about government. This is what they learn in 3rd grade. You set a great example tonight. Candace LaJust.
Address?
400 Shelmar Lane, Orangeville, Michigan.
Thank you.
Debbie Grinnell, 2673 East Oakwood. You know, like the gentleman said earlier, you have set a precedence here tonight. There have been several occasions where you have denied variances based on, I mean, like,
Self-created.
you know, like my husband had said, that gentleman was here that probably 3 meetings ago, and was asking for that height variance, and you denied him. You denied him the height variance. So how can you deny some people, but when it's beneficial for you, okay, it completely changes. It's okay. So, you know, you really need to think about, you know, possible legal action in the future, because you went ahead and you granted yourselves all these variances. So when the community comes to you and wants a variance, what are you going to tell them? No? I'm sorry, but no, you can't do that because this is what the restrictions are. There are no restrictions. You just proved it.
Hi again, just a couple more comments. One for you, Davis. I saw you on, what, Channel 4?
My name is Bob.
What was that?
I'm Bob.
Bob. So you on Channel 4, and you said you kind of about 9 parents. It was very misleading. You know, we've had over 200 signatures for a petition. You've seen us at every meeting, usually the largest crowd we had last time. I just really didn't like that. And I think you intentionally misled. But that's just my opinion. I was kind of curious, what about the other variances you need to build the cell tower? I'm understanding there's several more. And I say you because it is you. It's Addison Township getting the variances. Are you going to get those variances? Don't need those? You just do whatever you want? Because I know very well if I built a shed in my yard, one of the 3 variances I needed, you'd make me rip that down. After I built it. I mean, you wouldn't care about my money, my time, you just rip it down, come back in, I'd get all 3 variances, and then I'd have it. You know, did you get the other variances? There was a setback, I know that there's several. I can't, do you guys remember? No? Nothing? Okay. I know there are, but I know you guys don't too. I just, on your side, why wouldn't you lump them all in? You're all gonna vote yes anyway, except for Hayward, of course, but, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't just go through making sure everything was legally correct now. It's almost like you're giving us somewhere to legally fight in the future. Maybe secretly, I don't know. I doubt I'll be able to get it from you today, but I was wondering about the cell tower in the parking lot. How many variances did you guys have to get for that? How difficult was that to pass? Were there neighbors around here that were upset about that? Was it similar to this, or was it an easy up? I just kind of like to know how that legal battle went, because I know there are areas around here, firefighters, right, that's what's right there. I mean, I just can't imagine everybody being thrilled about that. And I guess I'd really like to know why he voted no. I mean, you don't have to answer, but I mean, I would love an answer, because why? Why don't you just vote yes? I mean, are you just a normal human being, I'm like the rest of them, or what? Why did you vote no?
I have my reasons. My reasons are my reasons.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, you want to share, but thank you. That's all.
Is there anybody else like to add something that hasn't already been?
One thing I would like to add to mind is that Mr. Crane.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, obviously, he ran. He stated in the first meeting that he went up and down Hosner and all around there looking for a property that was willing to utilize their property for this tower. So, in so saying, he said there was nobody. We asked him at that point, who did you ask? Who did you call? There was other people here that were willing to do it, and they were living on Hosner and Oakwood. He would not provide us a list. We've asked him to provide a list. He did not do that. I mean, this is a railroad right into your pockets is what it comes down to.
The list never existed.
That's true, because he never did it. It comes down to is that you guys are
He had
just...
a single point of contact, and that was the township.
And that's the reason why he came to you, because he knew he had an easy pass. Comes down to an easy pass. So it's very frustrating, and it's unbelievable that this form of government wants to do this and put people's lives at risk. And also now that you've done this, you have opened up the laws to us being sued, the township being sued for your decisions of past, denying other people variances on their property. You have opened them up. No, that's what I'm saying.
There's one speaker here at the podium.
Yeah.
Please keep the audience
She wants to
quiet.
help. She's my wife. So
I know.
I like her helping, so.
She's used to interrupting you.
Yeah, that too. But-
We go everywhere together, we share each other's thoughts.
So, you know how, but anyhow, like I said, it comes down to you have opened up that legal aspect. And I know the next phase is going into the planning commission. If they do the same thing, they are opening up a big major one because they denied another entity to do the same thing that you wanted to do, put a tower up on their property for lots of reasons. They gave 7 specific reasons. And if they do not deny it then they're in violation of that thing that they did 7 years ago. So that company, the monastery, is sued Addison Township for the 7 years that they did not get that money. That's why I'm trying to tell you right now, stop it now. So we can save that money into our community and use it for better things. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a little bit different. I think I'm Tom Vicey from Rochester, and I am a Kingsbury parent, but I'm also a proud University of Detroit Mercy graduate. And I'd like to tell a story that's going on right now in Detroit. The school wants to build a new dorm. It's slightly off campus. It's property they bought, but they have to extend the fence. The city of Detroit will not allow them to put that fence, to put up that dorm unless they remove the fence. I know that president of the university, he will not allow that fence to go down as much as they need a new dorm, because he is not going to be able to look a parent in the eye if somebody comes onto campus and injures a University of Detroit Mercy student. And that's what you're doing to Kingsbury kids. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I might, I would like to follow up on something Mr. Renaud said, that this matter is now concluded at the ZBA level, but there will be other public hearings on this matter. There are other approvals that are required by way of special land use approvals through the Planning Commission and through the board. You're encouraged to attend those meetings in the same way that you're attending these meetings, and to be heard and have an opportunity to be heard. The ruling by the ZBA is strictly on the variance. It's governed by its own procedures, but there will be other public hearings to which you will have an opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
We'll bring more people next time. It's only, there's only 9 people that's present.
Listen to it carefully.
You said there was only 9 people.
Is there anybody else like to step up to the podium and speak?
Oh, right. 9 people that spoke, right.
And the room wasn't packed, because I'm sure they usually get this many people. Here's Catherine Carroll, I'm 1960 East Long Road, Addison Township resident. I just want to say how disappointed I am. My child currently goes to Kingsbury. Now we feel like they're in danger. But really the point that I wanted to make was that I've been at every one of these meetings, and many people have spoken saying that they do not want this. The one person out of all the meetings that said that they did want it, said he wanted it on his property. So I didn't hear a single person, I don't think there's anything entered into the record of a single Addison Township resident that supported this location for the tower. I don't understand how a township board would make this decision based on what? What's something that nobody in the township has spoken up for. It's incredibly disappointing.
Thank you. I'd like to,
One more, okay.
this is the last time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Gotta be the last time.
That's fine.
Are you still at the same address?
Yeah, so,
I moved it.
I didn't say it today anyway though, but yeah, same address. What would you do if you were in our position? And I don't just mean us parents. us citizens of Addison Township, of this county, of this state, of this country, when we're realizing that our government is never doing what is in our best interest. They are doing what the money tells them to do. What are we supposed to do? We know it's true. You know it's true. It's a word for it, oligarchy. It's not a democracy, not a republic. You pay money, you get a law. What are we supposed to do? Any hints? Because obviously this isn't it. I guess Candace has a point. Would you like maybe like an NRA member? You pool a bunch of money together, and all the parents pay money, and then we just bribe you? Because each one of us doesn't have enough money, or maybe in a big enough pool we will. I see that as the only option. What else are we supposed to do? No, nothing? You won't even respond to me? Nobody? Not a single word?
That we're just taking statements from the
Why, like, when are we supposed to get a response? Are you guys gonna post something? Because we never get an open conversation. I know those are the rules, but, I mean, look at how upset we are on this, and we're not getting any answers. People start acting frantically when they don't get answers. People start freaking out, you know? I mean, look at me. You see me get mad, I don't get any answers. If I found out there was really great reasons, all this money was gonna go to some great cause, you know, maybe we would change our minds a little bit. But as far as we can see, just a bunch of old fucks getting a little more money.
I think we're going to close the public forum if there's no other.
I'd just like to ask you to keep our children safe.
Thank you. Public forum is now closed, 6:35 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that motion.